Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Town of Abingdon's Historic Preservation Review Board. This is a citizen board appointed by the Town Council to interpret and uphold Abingdon's Historic Preservation Ordinance, which is Chapter 44, Section 2.4 of the Abingdon Zoning Ordinance that protects the historic district of Abingdon, which has been designated the Old and Historic, along with all of its contributing resources, including buildings, structures, and sites, from negative encroachment resulting from inappropriate construction, design, alterations, or demolitions. Our review process is guided by our own design review guidelines, which are based on the United States Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. Our aim on this board is to provide a positive bridge between the design review process and property owners seeking to make changes, working together through the natural partnership that exists between us for mutual good. The result will be to ensure Abingdon's Historic District continues as a valuable asset and one that makes Abingdon a good place to live, to work, and to visit. We appreciate your interest and we encourage public participation in our meeting. Your comments are important to our decision-making process. Anyone who addresses the board will please approach the podium, identify your first and last name, and give your complete mailing address. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Hartshorn? Mrs. White?
Here.
And Mrs. Bunn?
Here.
All right, we'll start with the approval of minutes of the last meeting, which was January the 3rd. You have them in your packets. If we've had time to review them, are there any questions about them, or is there a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Okay, Mr. Anderson moves to approve the minutes as presented. Second?
I'll second.
Ms. Bunn seconds.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bunn?
Aye.
All right. Our first application for a certificate of appropriateness is from the Abingdon United Methodist Church, 115 East Main Street, Abingdon. We'll have the staff report first, please.
So yes, the request is from Abingdon United Methodist Church, and Glenn Patterson as the applicant have requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for a variety of exterior changes. 1, replacement of 2 existing 14-foot sections of K-style gutters pre-finished white with 2 14-foot sections of half-round gutters pre-finished white. Replacement of 3 existing round downspouts pre-finished white with 3 round downspouts pre-finished white. Replacement of 10 existing single-pane double-hung sash windows fabricated out of various materials. And then 4, installation of metal roof cleats. The property is located at 115 East Main Street, and the property is within the Old and Historic District, Sub-District 1. Some background. According to a reconnaissance survey conducted by DHR in 2020, 115 East Main Street is a 2-story, 5-bay building constructed around 1830 with elements of Greek Revival style. The building possesses good architectural integrity, retaining its overall massing and historic period doorway. The building shows up on all known Sanborn fire insurance maps except for 1885. The only reason being the 1885 Sanborn fire insurance map did not survey the area where 115 East Main Street is located. Most alterations through the building's history in terms of footprint are associated with the front porch and various rear additions. So I've included the Sanborn maps here just to run through with you. So this is 1891. You can see that the front porch was just a single bay. Here's the brick structure, and then it had a wood frame rear addition. So that's from 1891. 1897, same thing with the porch. It was just a one bay, one centered on the brick building. Still had the wood frame addition, but now it had looks like a porch or a piazza connected to that rear addition. In 1902, the porch maybe got extended a little bit further out. The front brick building stayed the same. The rear addition was now clad in a brick veneer, so you can see from that pink line right there, still wood frame. And then another addition was put on. That silver actually means that it was clad in iron at one point, the back rear one. That was in 1902. 1913, we see a little bit more now how it looks with this kind of bay bump out on the side. Went all to brick, and then you see more kind of additions happening on the back. Predominantly, you see the front porch now be a full length, and it wraps around to the back as we see it today. So that was 1913. 1922, kind of keeps the same thing. And then 1928, which is our last Sanborn map that I know of for the town of Abington, pretty much retains the same thing as we see today. So now moving to staff findings. The applicant proposes to replace 2 existing 14-foot sections of metal K-style gutters located along the eaves of the primary or south elevation with 2 14-foot 6-inch sections of metal half-round gutters. The proposed 14-foot half-round gutters will be pre-finished white to match existing gutter color finish. And as you can see here, here's the 2 that are proposed to be changed out, the 2 gutters. In addition to replacing the 14-foot sections of K-style gutters with 2 14-foot 6-inch half-round gutters, the applicant proposed to replace the 3 existing metal round downspouts, pre-finished white, with round metal downspouts, pre-finished white to match existing. So here you can see the 2 up here and the 1 on the side. The round metal downspout transferring the runoff water from the encapsulated gutter system, which is this one right here, of the wraparound front porch terminates into a metal pipe in the ground. The existing plastic rectangular connection linking the round downspout to the round pipe will be replaced with a round connection to be more conducive when connecting the downspout and pipe together. Based on the 2-story 5-bay brick building's earliest documented date of around 1830, according to 2020 DHR reconnaissance survey, half-round gutters and round downspouts are an appropriate gutter and downspout style for this building. The existing metal K-style pre-finished white gutters are an inappropriate gutter type. The existing metal pre-finished white downspouts are round and are the appropriate downspout type. All other gutters and downspouts associated with the building will remain in place at this time. Moving on to, do we have any questions for me for the gutters or downspouts?
No.
Before I move on?
Anybody?
Next, the applicant proposes to replace a total of 10 single-pane double-hung sash windows with Anderson double-pane, double-hung sash, wood-clad, and vinyl windows. Staff could not find documentation showing the original windows for 115 East Main Street at this time. Based on site observations, it appears all other aspects of the window assemblage, meaning the window frame, the window surround, the sill, shutter hardware, and shutters, are original to the building and should not be touched in any way. The window openings are not proposed to be changed or should remain as such. The 5 existing pre-finished white windows on the second floor facing East Main Street are aluminum 1/1 single-pane double-hung sash, where both the top and bottom sashes have roughly equal height and width. The replacement Anderson double-pane, double-hung sash windows will be 34 3/4 inch by 61 1/2 inch and fabricated out of wood clad in vinyl, pre-finished white. The existing 5 aluminum 1/1 single-pane double-hung sash windows are not original to the brick building, given the brick building construction date of 1830. So here's just showing you the 5 that are proposed to be replaced. That's with the brick building. Here's just a spec on the bottom for you to see. Next, 2 existing pre-finished white windows directly behind the brick building fronting East Main Street, located on the second floor in an early historic now vinyl-clad addition, are aluminum 1/1 single-pane double-hung sash, where the bottom sash is nearly 2 times as tall as the top sash. The replacement Anderson double-pane double-hung sash windows will be 34 1/7 inch by 61 3/4 inch, fabricated out of wood, clad in vinyl, and pre-finished white. These 2 are believed to not be original to the building. 2 existing pre-finished white windows located on the second floor facing east in an early historic, now vinyl-clad addition, are wooden rope and pulley 1/1 single-pane double-hung sash, where both the top and bottom sashes have roughly an equal height and width. The replacement Anderson double pane, double hung sash windows will be 26 1/8 inch by 41 3/4 inch, fabricated out of wood, clad in vinyl pre-finished white. Due to these windows being rope and pulley and wooden, these are more appropriate for historic structures such as this. One existing pre-finished white window located on the second floor facing east is an early historic brick-clad addition, is wooden, rope, and pulley 1/1 single pane double hung sash, where both the top and bottom sashes have roughly an equal height and width. The replacement Anderson double pane double hung sash window will be 30 1/8 inch by 41 3/4 inch, fabricated out of wood, clad in vinyl and pre-finished white. Due to these windows being rope and pulley and wooden, these are more appropriate for a historic structure. Any questions on any of the windows or specs for them or anything before I move on to the last topic?
Any questions right now? I think we might have some in a minute, but we
Okay.
probably don't have any now.
Then the last one is just, lastly, the applicant proposes to install metal cleats, pre-finished green, to match the color of the existing true standing seam roof. These metal cleats will match the metal cleats found on the United Methodist Church's 1883 roof. And you can see an example of what they're looking to do in your packet. Those, as I said, those cleats are found on the church itself, but that type of style is also found on other buildings throughout the historic district.
Okay.
So, other than that, that's all I have. And
All right.
the applicant's happy to come up, and the board can ask him any questions if you would like.
Is Mr. Anderson?
I'm Glenn Patterson,
Again,
Associate Pastor.
Patterson, excuse me. Nice to have you with us.
It's good to be here.
You've got a lot going on.
We have.
So shall we take these one by one and first of all talk about the gutters?
Sure.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the gutters? Looks like the gutters, you're pretty much replacing the gutters with half rounds.
Yeah, they were.
And the downspouts.
The gutters on the upper level were challenged in the snow and ice event.
Oh,
We had a really impressively large icicle hanging down from the middle one, which would be on your right. Those gutters don't seem to drain adequately, and we would just, I think we need to replace them, and half round would be appropriate.
yes. Any comments or questions on the gutters at all? Okay. And the downspouts?
What we would like to do is we'd like to replace the two downspouts that will come from new gutters on the upper level. Now, the gutter on the side
On the lower
is,
on the lower level?
yes, when it meets the ground, it's rotted out. It's actually no longer connecting with the receiver that it's supposed to connect into. So while we're having this work done, would be a good time for us to simply replace that as well.
Right. Okay. And so the third, any questions on the downspouts at all? Okay. So
Where does that, once it goes into that pipe into the ground, where does it daylight at the curb, or?
Well,
Everything's so low along there, it's in the flood zone, and I'm just
Right.
curious.
I really don't know where it goes. That's something that we haven't been able to determine.
I can fill you in on that as well. The pipe, so from here, it kind of goes across, and there's like a little sidewalk on the side, which is within their property. That's where it empties out into.
Under the parking lot?
under the parking lot?
No, onto still their property.
Oh,
There's kind of in the, if you look at the front, it's kind of there. Let me pull this up. Like if I was still to go, like there's a kind of like an open grass space here. There's sidewalk right here. It empties out into here.
oh.
Yeah, perfect. Mr. Anderson just pointed that out, right there. Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so onward to the 10 windows. Okay. That was a pretty complex explanation about the window replacement. So you've got, if we take those in sections, just for clarification, we have those 5 on the front. Would you just like to say a couple of words about them?
Well, these are vinyl windows.
Yes.
Wayne McNeil from Berry has come to the house to look for them. He's the one who wrote up the quote on the suggested replacement windows. He's extremely confident that none of the windows that we're discussing are original to the house. These windows are leaky and frankly they're unattractive. What we'd like to do is we'd like to come back with something that's going to look better, that will look better and that will give us more insulation.
Okay.
You said that vinyl, but they're aluminum according to this, is that correct?
Well, they're yes, they are.
And so is the intention just to replace the sash and whatever is holding those in place, and the rest of the frame would remain? Is that-
I'm not sure. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, so.
I'm just going by what
excuse
Gabe
me
has written here.
Yeah, excuse me if I explain this as best I understand it. All of the work will be done from the inside, and the exterior, the framing, sash, and the seal won't need to be disturbed.
Well, the sash is the 2 pieces that you are
Okay.
replacing.
In that case, I guess that will need to be disturbed, but
So, are you looking for further clarification on the windows?
Well,
So the window itself, it looks like it's just been installed in there. So it's one full kind of aluminum window that's double hung.
Mhm.
The surround that's on the side of it, that is wood. That won't be replaced in any
Okay.
way.
Mhm.
So
That's what
really,
you're
you
talking
could,
about.
as Mr. Patterson's kind of describing in a sense, is really they would just have to pop out the aluminum one, because it's really just there. The original is gone. So
Mhm.
that's why I say the shutters, the shutter hardware, the surround, the sill, which is original, all that will still remain intact.
Mhm.
They just have to pop out that old window, and the window dimensions, like with the sashes, are gonna stay the same. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's a typical way of replacing.
Yeah. So,
I just was a little unclear on.
yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Moving around to the east side of the house, right there. Those 2 windows. Talk about those a little bit.
Well, these two windows can be basically popped out and the new ones put in. They're on a section. The interior of these 2 is an upstairs bathroom. Once again, they're not fitting into their frames particularly well. What we'd like to replace them with would be, it would be the same type of window that's going to be on the front.
Okay.
And we would like to use the same type of window on this structure as well. At some point, siding has been added, and I think those windows would look good in that section.
Okay. Is that clear to everyone? Okay. And so the last one are the 2 small windows right there.
Right. Those 2 are, they do have a rope system on them. We'd like to replace them. We'd like to replace those and the small window near the back with the same type of window, so that as you're looking at this section, all 5 windows would be of the same type.
Okay. All right. And these windows that we're looking at here are on those additions. I've forgotten what, 1913 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, so these, let me go back. So 1902 is when this addition sort of came into play, and then it really got expanded in 1913 a little bit. And that's when you see, instead of vinyl siding as it has now, had iron.
That's what I was
For
gonna say.
siding, so.
What was it before the vinyl? It was iron, you said?
Yeah, the silver line around the edge, that means iron
Okay.
was used as siding at one point, right here,
Okay.
as you see, but.
Iron,
From Sanborn Ave, yeah, that's how they have it labeled, so.
Hmm.
That's the first time I've seen it, it's rare, but
Yeah.
it's no longer.
sort of hard to imagine.
It is.
So,
I mean, iron typically would be cast iron.
yeah.
I wonder if it was really galvanized metal or something.
Yeah, and that's, I couldn't find a picture.
Doesn't
again
matter,
of
it's
that.
it's just peculiar description.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting, so.
Okay. Any questions? Any further questions or clarification?
Mhm.
Public comment? You happy to entertain any comments, questions?
I guess the one more thing you guys just haven't discussed yet is the cleats.
Right, the cleats. So the windows were just complicated.
Windows were the biggest
Yeah,
thing.
the big complicated thing. Okay, so the metal cleats, all right, that are on the roof to hold, to catch the snow, et cetera.
Yes, when this roof job was done, none were installed. And that was an oversight on somebody's part that we just like to correct.
The cleats, do you already have the cleats? Do you have to purchase the cleats?
We'll have to purchase them. The church is equipped with those cleats, and we'd like to find something that's similar.
The similar to
appearance if we
what's
can.
on the church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the
Right. Okay. So they would be appropriate to this building, you think?
Yeah, and that's, and you see them all throughout the OH too.
Yes.
As informed,
Right.
protecting the roof
We
and stuff
do.
too.
Okay. All right, then. All right. Any further questions? We can either take all four of these projects in one vote, or we can take them separately. Do you have an advice on that?
If you want to take them separately, it'd just be easier because maybe you might be more detailed with the window motion. than
Right.
With the other one, so you might just break them up in a sense, might be
Okay.
easier.
Shall we do that then? All right. Let's take the first one, which are the gutters. This is, the application is to replace two existing 14-foot sections of K-style gutters with two 14 sections of half-round in the color white. Take a motion on that.
I'll make that motion to approve
Okay,
the
Ms.
half-round.
Okay, Ms. Bud makes the motion to approve as presented. Number one, the replacement of the two gutters.
I'll second that.
Mr. Anderson, seconds.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right, second one is to, the replacement of three existing downspouts, round downspouts, white, with three round downspouts, pre-finished white again, pretty much same for same. Okay, I'll take a motion on that one.
Move we approve those.
Mr. Boyd moves to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Bunt seconds. Any further questions or discussion on that one? Okay.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right, the hard one. This is the replacement of 10 existing single-pane, double-hung sash windows fabricated by various materials. Now, do we want to go through those by detail?
No.
Is everybody satisfied with the explanation that we had?
I am.
All right, I'll have a motion then.
I move we approve the replacement of the windows as presented.
Mr. Boyd moves to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Anderson seconds. Any further discussion or comments from anyone? Okay.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
All right.
and Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right. And the last one is the approval of metal roof cleats on the main building. Okay. Any questions? Any further questions? Okay, a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Anderson moves to approve the cleats.
I'll second.
Ms. Bunn seconds. Any further questions? Okay.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bowman?
Aye.
Well, there you go. You have a lot of work in front of you.
Yes,
Good
we
luck.
do.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You got a nice house there. I walk by there every day. I think that that's a very, very, very nice house that you have there.
It is a nice house, and it's a great location.
Yes, sir, it is.
It is a
Should
nice
be happy.
location.
It does have its challenges.
I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, the second request for a certificate for appropriateness is for partial roof replacement. And this is Scott and Donna Slagle.
So yes, the request is from Scott and Donna Siegel, owner/applicant, have requested approval for a certificate of appropriateness to replace a portion of their main roof, specifically the front porch section, with a true standing seam roof, pre-finished black. The rest of the roof will be clad in new black asphalt shingles. The true standing seam roof will have no striations, ribs, or exposed fasteners. The property is located at 136 West Valley Street, and the property is within the Old and Historic Zoning District, Subdistrict 2. Some background. The 1.5-story, 3-bay brick craftsman/bungalow style building, according to a February 2020 reconnaissance survey conducted by DHR, was constructed around 1920. The dwelling possesses good architectural integrity, retaining its overall massing and few historic period windows. According to a DHR 2020 reconnaissance survey, the dwelling does fall into Abington's Historic District's period of significance, 1788 to 1936, making the resource contributing. However, an empty lot can be seen on the 1928 Sanborn map, where 136 West Valley Street would be located today. Back in September, the applicant came and they mentioned that the building was built in 1937. Access to the site will continue to be West Valley Street or Plum Alley, and all adjoining properties are OH on all sides. Staff findings, and as I'm going through this, I have the rendering of what they're proposing up on the screen here for
Okay.
you. The applicant proposes to replace a portion of their main roof, specifically the front porch section of the existing gray asphalt shingle roof, with a true standing seam roof with no striations, ribs, or exposed fasteners. Pre-finished black. The rest of the roof will be clad in new black asphalt shingles. Staff could not find any historical evidence stating or showing 136 West Valley Street's original roof cladding, but did not see any evidence of the roof line ever being altered. There are no known examples in the town of Abington's Old and Historic District where a structure's main roof consists of two different roof cladding materials. Adding transitional points where water runoff transitions from asphalt shingles to metal roofing could result in additional opportunities for water infiltration due to a lack of uniformity related to the roof's cladding. Allowing such a change would set a precedent to where a building or structure's main roof could be clad in two different materials. There is a pre-finished black R-type metal roof with striations, ribs, and exposed fasteners found on the bay window on the west elevation. The R-type roofing observed on the site is thought not to be original to the building. The R-type roofing is not part of the main roof either. Based on site observations, both the main building and detached garage have roofs clad in gray asphalt shingles. The only metal roof cladding observed at 136 West Valley Street is on the bay window on the west elevation of the main building. When examining the front porch in November of 2023, staff observed water damage or wood rot at various locations on the wooden fascia, specifically on the eastern half of the front porch. There was limited to no water damage or wood rot observed on the western half of the front porch. The pitch of the front porch's roof appears to be equal to or more than 2 to 12, which by building code is an appropriate pitch for an asphalt shingle roof to shed water off. The applicant stated at the September 2023 regular meeting, the roof has 2 layers of underlayment and an ice shield underneath the existing asphalt shingles. Additionally, the applicant stated all flashing had been redone recently. However, while on site in January 2024, staff observed there is no flashing around the chimney or front gable dormer A lack of flashing at these two locations could cause water infiltration to occur. So in your packets, you'll see where I notified where there's no flashing on the east, the west, or the north-facing portions of the dormer where it extrudes through the main roof.
Okay, Mr. Siegel? Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I
Yeah,
think
thank
you were
you.
here a while ago, weren't
Yeah,
you?
a couple of months ago.
Yes, yes.
So a couple of corrections. We had an architectural engineer and designer actually take a sample of the shingles that we have from the roof to the metal supplier, that Watch and Metal Sales. I think you guys have a copy of their color chart in
We do.
your packet.
Yes.
And they determined that the closest color, rather than black, was actually charcoal. Just,
Yes.
I don't know if that's
Yeah.
relevant or not,
Yeah.
but just looking at the existing shingles with the color options for the proposed roof, the closest color would be charcoal rather than black.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
I was slightly confused as to whether or not you were going to replace the whole roof or
No.
just part of it.
No, the whole roof would not be replaced. That was replaced, I guess, approximately 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it would just be a section where the metal tied into that main roof. And like I stated, we've got the shingles from the original, or when we replaced the roof, whenever that was, I'd have to look back and see, to make that transition. It would just be a small, basically row or two of the main section where the porch roof tied in.
Oh, I see. And then what you want to do is to replace the entire sloped part, that
Correct.
part, the porch roof, in other
Correct.
words. Okay. And you're proposing to replace that not in the same shingles, but in metal.
Right.
Okay.
And it's basically a water infiltration issue. We didn't have, when we redid the roof let's just say 10 years ago, and I think that's pretty approximate. We didn't have water issue at all for about 5 years. And then slowly but surely, we're receiving more and more water. And as I indicated with the documents I provided you last time, the water isn't coming where the dormer is. The water is coming over about 2 feet past the dormer, basically where all the runoff on each side comes down. It's definitely a lot worse. If you're looking at the house, it's a lot worse on the left-hand side. That's probably where you saw a lot of the rot on the
The
porch
east.
versus the right-hand side, but it is coming through now on the right-hand side as well.
I know that something in our packet indicates that the sloping part there for the porch roof is more than equal to what is the appropriate slope for good water runoff. And also that they didn't observe any underlayments there and flashing that all of which could be contributing to the water infiltration.
Well, no, the flashing's there on the dormer, but that's not where the water's coming in.
Where is the water coming in?
The water's coming in, so if you're looking, I presented you guys a drawing of this last time. If you're looking at the house, it's hard for me to tell
We
you.
can see it.
Basically, if you're looking on the right-hand side,
Okay,
basically where that street sign is pretty close to where the water's coming in. So not near the dormer. It's several feet over from the dormer. And same thing on the left-hand side. It's not, the dormer's not associated with where the water is infiltrating. I mean, because no water, if you're looking at the roof, you can actually, if you look at the house, you see the shingles there if it rains or dry. There's no water in that dormer area. It's all where it comes down off the roof and then meets that low slope at the front porch.
It is unusual, as been stated, for there to be two kinds of roofing materials. And so it's difficult to come to the point of approving that.
Sure, and I understand that, and I've looked at this with another roofer, and if you look at the image here, we would have the ability to basically put a roof over this porch roof to increase the elevation. If you look under the window, there's probably about a foot or so
Mm-hmm.
space. And if you look at the house next door, which was built by the same brothers
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
their porch roof is pretty much an inch or two below that dormer window. It really changes, what it does though, is changes the aesthetic of our porch versus their porch. They have a traditional, it's probably about a 410 pitch on their porch. So it kind of, ours has a very slight curve to it. So, yeah, you can see exactly what
Yes.
the difference between the two is there. So that would be a potential another option to address this water issue, is basically build an additional rafter system, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to increase the pitch on that roof. Then it could be shingled with the same material that's there.
Well, we've gotten a letter here from the building inspector too, and Gabe, I'd appreciate it if you would contribute to this conversation. And maybe you've already been told this, Mr. Siegel, I don't know. But it looks to me like, from reading this, that your pitch is more than equal to what it should be. And also a statement here about how appropriate asphalt shingles are to water infiltration and all kinds of weather. That it would be almost a much simpler, more economical solution for you just to continue on with these shingles.
Well, we can do that, but like I said, what we've got there now is that, and it lasted for about 5 years.
Well, I thought what was there now is metal.
No,
No.
Oh, okay.
no,
Oh, so are we only talking about that one little strip then?
correct.
Okay,
He's
all right,
proposing to put metal
okay.
across the front there.
I see, okay.
No, I think that what we have now has basically kept us dry for about 5 years once it was redone. And now we're getting, water in, as I said, and we're actually starting getting water on the inside of the house.
Okay, and I think you were the last time you were
Right.
here. So you're not proposing to replace that entire piece of metal?
No,
There is no metal
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
yeah,
Metal
this is
the
just a
metal is on
rendering.
this side of the house.
Yeah, this is just a rendering of what it would look like if we went with
Oh,
metal.
I thought there
on
was
the-
metal there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. I even went by there and looked at it. Okay, I got it now. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
So just to clarify, just to make sure.
Yes.
So currently, the whole main roof is, let me go to here. Is
Right, the
asphalt-
entire
is a-
house
yeah,
is asphalt
is
shingles,
asphalt
except
shingles.
for the,
Except for the bay windows.
Correct.
Yep. So this is all asphalt shingles here.
Correct.
The applicant is looking to replace, or to reclad, I should say, just the front porch section that juts out with standing seam.
Okay,
Correct.
I've got it.
So, and that's where you would have two different types of cladding
Right.
materials on a building that we just don't see in the OE.
Okay, okay. I see it. I see. Okay. And you just don't want to put shingles back there?
well, we can.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's something that I think that's a temporary fix.
Mhm.
I think that the roof demonstrates that now.
Mm-hmm.
That if we tore off the shingles, replaced with the underlayment, the ice and chill guard, the shingles, even if we altered the exposure a little bit on the shingles, which sometimes that's what you do, you put them tighter together where you have a low slope like that,
Mhm.
to try to.
Right. Right, to accommodate it?
Correct. I think that that's a temporary solution.
Did you live in the house for a few years before you all replaced this roof?
We did.
So did you have water damage with the original roof?
There was water coming in, and that's when we replaced in fact, when we bought the house, the entire front porch had to be replaced because it had rotted out from water infiltration. It's a ceramic tile porch, and it was done maybe a month or two before we bought the house. So yeah, it's been an ongoing, I can assure you, it's been an ongoing challenge for whoever's owned the house.
If I may ask one question of the applicant, maybe, this is just
Sure.
something I just noticed now. I know you mentioned that these two were twins, were
They were built by brothers,
built by those
correct.
same
Yep.
brothers. Has any thought ever come to possibly removing the gutter, because this gutter is not original, and matching it to what they did over here to decrease the exposure? That just a question if that's been looked at.
Well, so I think that it would basically, it would do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I was just asking in a sense
Yeah,
if that was.
no,
involved,
I,
yeah.
yeah.
Can I double check something too? So are you saying that there was an actual, on the twin house, was that added, that front part?
I don't know.
'Cause, I
don't
mean,
know
I'm looking
when.
at
So
the-
you can
Right.
see that their front porch pitch
Yeah,
is basically, let's just look at this picture, say 4 inches below the window sill there. And ours might be 12 inches below, right? So I don't know, originally,
yeah, because what I was gonna say is doubling down on what Gabe is saying. If they had the same problems as you, it's possible they built that part up
it's possible.
and then brought those gutters out on top of that new
Yeah,
piece, so
that's
that none of it
definitely-
was
that's
actually
definitely
running down
possible.
the house.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, I
Well-
couldn't find a picture of what it looked like originally.
Excuse me, it would be hard to do that on your house, though. Could you go to this picture, the close-up of?
Well, yeah, it's gonna
this
change
corner?
the aesthetic on the side.
Let me
Yeah.
see. Give me one sec.
Well, because if you have a fascia that's the same thickness all the way up to the ridge.
Correct.
If you change and put a new piece there, and we're matching that same place where it ends, you're gonna have a funny situation to deal with.
Right.
Do-
Yeah, it's gonna change the,
You see what I'm,
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
just go to the Google map, Gabe? Just
I think
look
the
at it.
curve is lovely on your house, the curved fascia, I mean, the porch.
well, it's a
It's very pretty.
feature that
Mhm.
would be gone if you
Mhm.
change the elevation of the porch, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
you see what I'm talking about is that it's coming all the way out to the end of the main gable. That fascia is 6 or 7 inches. And I don't know what you would do with it, because you'd have to cover up that curved section.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know, I think it'd be hard to make it look right.
And can you go to the twin house?
Because the other one, the porch roof doesn't engage with the gable.
That's what I-
Yeah, it doesn't extend all the way
Yeah,
across
it's
the
quite,
front.
it's a little bit removed from the main body of the roof.
Let's see if I can get down here in a second.
I'm open, we're definitely open for suggestions.
and we-
It's
and
one of
we-
those that we'd like to try to resolve this in a way that, we're not have to do it every 5 years or so.
Yeah, we're with you on that.
But as far as what works the best,
I know.
that's, you guys are the experts for that.
Do the neighbors
We
ever-
can propose.
Did the neighbors ever complain to you or say that they had leaks prior to? have they
No,
had-
we know Paul and Kelly Reed live next door, and they haven't, they bought the house after we, so they purchased their house after we had purchased ours, a few years, probably 3 or 4 years afterwards. So,
Okay.
like I said, I don't know if they looked the same at one point in time. My guess is they probably didn't, just because, their porch is a little bit different than ours is. Theirs doesn't have the kind of the rounded arches that our porch has, and I think that might tie into the slight curve on the roof as well.
Right. When you, your rendering is what got me. It was so good, I thought it was the real thing.
Well, no, I think she did a great job,
Yes,
right? I mean,
right.
and
Yes.
like I said, she took the shingles to Appalachian Metal and basically tried to determine what was the most appropriate as far as color match.
Do you remember when you replaced the roof, the whole roof,
Mhm.
that you put a whole lot of underlayment under it? I'm just
There were
wondering.
2 layers of underlayment under the front porch there.
I'm just wondering if when you replace this.
Well, but see what happens, so with the underlayment,
Mhm.
when you're nailing shingles through, you're creating,
Holes.
I mean, that's
Holes.
just kind of part of it, right? It would be perfect. So the way the underlayment works is a lot of it is adhesive based, right? So the fire and ice shield is kind of an asphalt adhesive that sticks to the plywood, right, or the felt or whatever you've got
Mhm.
underneath the shingle. So that then as you're, attaching the shingles, you're driving holes into that underlayment. I mean, it's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, and I think that's kind of why it lasts for a little bit, but then eventually that water will find a way.
And I'd say I don't really know because I'm not a professional, but I'd say as it gets hot, it expands. Maybe the nails might pop up a little bit. Maybe the waters are going. I don't know that. I don't know that. That's why maybe it's creating
I mean,
a
I
problem
think-
on one side of the house and not the other
Well,
side
I
of the
think
house.
what the problem is just as it rains and
Yeah.
as water is trying to get to that front porch gutter, it can't get there. So it starts,
Oh.
it kind of not running backwards, but it's not running as fast as you would want it to the gutter. So eventually it starts appearing, right? And right now, it's like if we went on a rainy day, you would see 2 lines of basically water on each side of the porch. As I said, the left-hand side's far worse than the right-hand side is. And I can't explain that. I don't know why there's a difference. I mean, there is water on both sides, but the rot is worse on the left as far as the front porch arch, the wood arch and everything. And that's where we're getting water on the inside, on the left-hand side.
Will you address the flashing issue? Because we've got notes here that there is no flashing, and of
No,
course
we just
flashing.
paid $5,000 this fall to have the dormer reflashed.
I just didn't see that from there, from the outside.
Yeah.
Was the chimney, because it looked like the chimney had tar.
The chimney was probably done when we did the roof. It wasn't, yeah, we're not getting any water in around the chimney.
Okay, no, yeah, I just couldn't see any flashing
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
street view. So maybe it's under it, but that's why I said that, so that's the pose that question too.
No, but I can provide the contractor and the invoice and all that where the flashing was done this fall. But I knew when we paid that wasn't where we were getting water in. I mean, it's just, it's not around the dormer.
Oh,
How far up on the existing slope there would the metal roof extend?
I mean, basically, we go right to the transition.
Well, it's a curve. So where's the transition? It's not like it's a sharp intersection there.
Well,
And
it's pretty close to being a sharp intersection. I mean, right there.
Well,
it doesn't look it from our picture here.
no.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble seeing how the standing seam, if it's going up on sort of into the curved transition area at all, how that happens with the standing seam. With the cleat, with the clamp piece that goes over it. I mean, and then you have to have some kind of closure there that flashes over that,
Right.
under the shingle and over the metal. I guess I'd be concerned that you might still have issues with something if it wasn't done exactly the way it should be done there.
Well, that brings up a last question. Why do you think, just in simple words, why do you think that the metal would be a better solution than a good shingle with good underlayments?
Well, like I said, we have a good shingle. We have a 30-year architectural shingle on the house now that's lasted about 5 years with underlayment. So like I said, I think the metal is, according to the contractors we've talked to, is kind of the best case, right? The longest lasting solution versus the shingle. I mean, the metal's not going to let water infiltrate back underneath it like the shingles are doing. And that's where the problem is coming in.
And extending the downspout or the guttering in some way to run it off, has that been explored? Like, like we were just pointing out a minute ago, to bring
the
it.
front of the dormer.
Yeah, to bring
and
it,
then bring it
yes.
down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would do the same. I think it would be, just personally, I think it would be the same difference. I mean, the water, I don't know that you're changing where the water is infiltrating by, changing the downspout. If anything, my personal opinion would be, if anything, it would probably make it worse. If you put the downspouts at the front of the dormer rather than at the back, then you're dumping all that water in the spot where my guess is the majority of the water is coming in.
You said that it's sort of where that sign is, and if you kind of look at it
Correct.
straight on, the angle of that downspout is pretty much in line with that sign.
Yeah.
So couldn't that downspout be the problem? Where it's directing the water?
Well, I think that's where the majority of water comes off the main part of the roof.
Right.
Like just in general, that's
Right.
like those two areas, like it's not close to the dormer, right? It's out where,
Right.
outside of the soffit, outside of the overhang of the dormer is where the majority of water is coming off of the main roof.
But I would also be concerned with the metal. I feel like you're going to be introducing even more areas of water infiltration, like across the entire line of where the two different materials meet.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I
mean-
mean, the contractor doesn't seem like that's an issue, but I understand that that's a potential concern for sure.
Any more comments, Gabe?
No, I think you guys covered it all. Like I said, that's why I just asked the question about the gutters, because I saw that they did it, so I was wondering if that's
Right.
been a thing, because when you were saying that
And
about
I'm
the
not sure,
runoff.
I'm not sure. I can ask Paul if they've replaced the gutters since they've owned the house.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if they've done that or not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, and that was just one of my curiosities that
Yeah.
Mrs. One brought up, that, if the gutter's there and it kind of lines up where you said the water was going in,
Right.
maybe changing the gutter would have
Yeah.
something, but that's just, like I
Sure.
said, I'm not sure what you've talked with your contract.
Yep.
about, so.
Yep.
Gabe, under there where it says see additional dates, what's the oldest photo that we've got?
2019, that's why I said they've never been there. That's why I know they're not original. So it had cased out gutters there, but the downspout
But no
was not
downspout
there. And they didn't have any downspouts either.
In 2019,
Yeah.
so just a couple years ago.
So the gutters, the little extensions that are there now, so basically the gutters that were there in 2019 had a hole. Basically, it was a solid gutter and it had a couple of holes punched in the end of it against the roof. So the other thing, I don't know if you can see, can you expand that?
Which is
A
gonna
little
be,
bit bigger,
oh,
right there, keep going.
no, that's as far as I can go, unfortunately.
Underneath the eaves on each side of that dormer, and this was a thought that I had at that point in time, and why we put those kick out to the downspout there. There are two vents that vent crawl space or attic space that are underneath each one of those eaves. So I thought maybe some of the water that we're getting in could be coming from that because of the way those downspouts were letting water to come straight down the dormer versus
Mhm.
kicking it to the outside. So that's another potential issue that you really, you can't see here, but on each side there are two vents, yeah, underneath the eaves of that dormer. I'm open for suggestions.
It's difficult.
It's a
Yeah.
very
Yes.
difficult one. We very
I
much.
mean, if it's a matter of replacing the shingles with what we have now with additional underlayment, and coming back in 5 years, we can do that. I mean, it's just, we need to, you know, stop the water.
Of course you do.
Infiltration one way or
We
another.
want to help you do that.
I wonder how many 5-year cycles you could get for what the metal roof is gonna cost.
Well, and exactly, so.
It is quite a bit more expensive.
Eventually, at some point in time, I mean, it might be, we're coming before you with a proposal to do the whole house in metal, right? I mean, I don't know that I want to bite that right now.
No. I'm less concerned with having two materials on there, frankly, even if it is setting a precedent, than concerned that the metal's not gonna be totally satisfactory in solving the problem, just for what I had mentioned. So I don't know
Well-
where I am with that.
Well, this is true, and, you know, given the building inspector's letter about this, and your willingness to, you know, to try another method, what do we think?
I think your home is beautiful, and I think it would take away architecturally with the two, where the two different
The
roofing
aesthetics of it
materials.
all, yeah.
I just think it's absolutely beautiful with the curve.
Yeah, changing the pitch
Mhm.
takes that away and makes
Yeah.
It does.
it more of a challenge to,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like the shingles, and then maybe trying with a different gutter, sort of like Kelly Reed's house, maybe
Mhm.
bringing that to the front.
I like that
I
idea
mean,
too with the gutter.
I'm just leaning a little bit more towards that than having the two different materials. And I'm
Okay.
concerned that then you're gonna have water coming in all the way across.
Okay.
But that's
You could talk to your contractor about it. Do you have more than one contractor
We do.
looking at it?
I mean,
Looking at
we
it?
have somebody kind of that's the metal specialist
Mhm.
and then just
Mhm.
the roofing contractor, yeah.
Well, would anybody like to make such a motion?
What you would need to do is make a motion for denial for what they asked, and then make
Yeah.
a second motion
Right.
strictly for the guttering system, because I think the like-for-like shingles wouldn't even be,
Yeah, that
that's
just be.
just a way of being.
Yeah, that'd just be something.
Okay.
So it'd be a
Right.
two-motion thing.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So I will make that motion to deny the metal roof
Application.
application.
Okay. All right.
And
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Anderson seconds it. Any further discussion about it? Okay.
Mr. Boyd,
All right.
Mr. Anderson,
All right.
Mrs. White,
All right.
and Mrs. Bell.
aye.
Thank you, Mr. Siegel.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah.
and
Right.
now, yeah, and now we need a motion for the gutters.
I'm just thanking him for his tolerance.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's have another motion that refers to the idea of the gutters. Would you make it such a suggestion?
I know, but I don't know. I mean,
You're just relocating the downspout, right? Brooke?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
From
Why
the-
don't you
Yeah,
go?
basically to match the sister house next
Yeah,
door.
right,
Yeah. From the,
So,
yeah.
toward the
like, make a
street.
motion to, if you would want to relocate the downspout, to try that as a remedy.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Second to that
I'll
motion?
second that.
Mr. Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Okay.
And I appreciate you coming in and taking the time and asking us the questions before you do anything, or, you know, asking us if there's anything that we can do on our end that might would help you, but it's almost like us playing with your money, and I apologize for that, but. it's
Well,
just-
no, in a way, it's a guessing game.
Yes.
I mean, in this particular situation, I think it is a guessing game.
Yes, sir.
As far as what's the best long-term solution.
Well, we, as we said, we appreciate you very
Yes,
much
we
being
do.
willing to do this.
Yes, we do.
I appreciate it. So can I just clarify?
Can we please?
We have to
make-
vote first.
Oh, okay.
vote first?
Yeah. We just have to vote on that one, okay?
Do we have a second?
We
I'll-
had
I'll second
Anderson
that.
second.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Bonney?
Aye.
Now,
Okay. If we were going to go ahead and have the shingles on the porch torn off,
Mhm.
and my assumption is there's gonna be some,
right.
probably plywood that needs to be
Mhm,
replaced or
mhm,
whatever, and then
mhm.
re-roof that. Do I need to come before the board again if we go back with the exact same shingles that's on the house?
No, that can be a waiver.
Okay.
Right, be sure you just keep up with Gabe.
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, we have some of those shingles, but we know exactly what
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Well, bravo to you. We all echo that it's a beautiful home.
Yes.
And
We always like to keep it that
I
way.
know,
Right.
I know it, I know it. Leaks are terrible.
Yeah, okay.
And
Thank
hard to
you.
find.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
very
for your
much.
time.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
All right.
On a point of pickiness about terminology,
Mhm.
because it was something that I was looking at the comments from the last public meeting on the guideline revisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should make a distinction between roof and roofing.
Okay.
Roof implies structure.
Okay.
Roofing is the material.
Materials, okay.
So we're not replacing a roof, we're replacing,
The roof
The roof.
materials.
and
Okay.
we can get that clarified and, straightened out when we redo the.
All right. So noted. Okay. Okay, so on our agenda right this minute, I think we are up to
Waivers
a
and.
report on the waivers, huh?
Well, just items not on the agenda, just kind of is tucked inside a waiver tab.
Yeah.
But we'll go with the first one. So on 301 West Main Street, the building that has a mural on it, there has been a request by the current building owner to see if there would be an interest in expanding the historic district down to at least to include those structures and all of Main Street in between. He has also purchased the building that we all know is the Bonfire and the building next door. So he asked, what's the process? And I said, well, it's a map amendment. I mean, the physical process is a map amendment. But I said we could first bring it to you all and see if there is an interest or an appetite. I mean, it is a lot of, business owners that we would end up interacting with. So this is just first blush, first conversation.
So the green is the current.
Green is our current historic
Alright.
district. The brown parcels are the ones not in the historic district. And the pinkish red are structures that are contributing, and the white are non-contributing structures.
So this is, the idea is taking in from Cummings down to Wall Street?
Correct.
Okay.
A little past, really, but could be Cummings to Russell, but again,
Oh,
this
okay.
building is 301, like right there, yeah, the 301.
Okay.
Building's on the other side of Wall Street.
Oh,
Now, I
okay.
did suggest to him, was there any interest in coming up from Mamma Mia's, because we'd capture like 6 buildings if we just extended that, extended up versus extended down, because it is a lot of business owners. However, he owns the 2 buildings you know, that are right there as well, so he wanted them all in the historic district. Now, his interest is actually in tax credits and more at the state level, which, you know, I have said to him, you don't have to be in a historic district to obtain tax credits.
Just contributing.
Just contributing, correct.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you all have any interest in this at all, or having staff pursue it any further or not. And by pursuing it further, what I would mean is basically we would, you know, contact the other business owner, I mean, you know, see if the other owners of the properties up and down that area have any interest. They are already in the entrance corridor, so a lot of the same restrictions that apply for HPRB would apply to them
So-
in general.
Just want to make sure I'm seeing it correctly. So it's the antique store and the whatever it is next to it.
Mercantile, these old mercantile
Where the
buildings.
bakery was, and then the one with the mural.
Those are the ones that he currently owns, the person, yes.
And
And then obviously, I mean, I don't think that we would have an interest. I mean, you might tell me something different. I don't think we'd have an interest in just picking out his buildings and bringing them in, because that's a bit awkward with that
Yeah.
whole
Mhm.
stretch. A little
Mhm.
different than the Park Street addition, because
Mhm.
that again was adjoining historic district
Mhm.
and we could bring in a chunk.
Mhm.
So I didn't think you all would have interest in just individual buildings or individual parcels.
I think we should ask, like you said, we should ask everyone down through their business owners and see what their interest is, if they would like to be in the historic district or not, and then we go from there.
Okay.
I think that that would be a good idea, you know, give them an opportunity to say yay or nay
Mhm.
before we do anything.
Yeah, because we were very, you know, I mean, it was a very thoughtful process when we added the other direction.
Mhm.
And because of that thoughtful process, we didn't end up with opposition.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I would think that we would also equally want to do a very thoughtful process this
Mhm.
way. But again, if you all said, you know, we took in enough for now, let's wait, then we would also be respectful of that, so.
Well, I'm sure I speak for everyone with the idea that we are in favor of historic preservation, of course, and the buildings down there, many of them are original buildings, and
Mhm.
protecting their facades is something that we would certainly welcome working with them and partnering with them to make sure
Yes.
Abingdon's business district is as beautiful as the rest of the town.
Okay. Then I will take that as direction for us to continue conversations
Okay.
and see if there's any additional interest.
All right, that would be nice.
Yes.
Just one more question about, so the pepper mill, is that what it's called now?
Yes.
Is the one that's sort of freestanding in the old stone house. Does Susie Butler own that as well as the jewelry store?
I'm not sure who owns that. I don't know.
Just curious.
Mhm.
I mean, it's attached, so I've always assumed it was part of the same ownership.
Well, it used to be owned by Peggy's and Anson's aunt, the late. And then they built the jewelry store. But anyway, we would be delighted to welcome that into our historic district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Of
continue
course.
the conversation then.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Next thing, I'll pull it up here real quick, just give me one sec. Just gotta find the street, here we go. So, a couple weeks ago, Bassett, who's the owner of Mamma Mia's, 134 Wall Street, who's, you know, come before you guys many a times for different projects and such, he asked about maybe putting a sunroom, kind of like a sunroom area, and attaching it to this side and taking off the pergola. Now, obviously, you guys never really seen that, and he asked, you know, if, I guess I'm looking for an interpretation, it says if you guys would have the appetite to see that, in a sense, if you guys would be interested in it, or if it's not really anything that you would look at, in a sense. So he would be taking away this, putting a sunroom, or his other option he maybe asked was just expanding. Because he said there's people that you know, not a lot of people sit out here because it's close to the road, and so not a lot of people use this space. So he's looking for a way to maybe make it more welcoming for people.
More
So-
usable.
More usable. So he, before he got into, you know, hiring an architect and all this, it was more of, would you guys have an appetite for the sunroom, or would it be more of a, just expand it?
If either of the two, one of the two would be expanding. Sunroom, I'm not in, I don't think that that sunroom would look appropriate there. I don't know though, that's just me.
I believe when he came up to us before about this, there was something to do with water runoff that was complicating his issues there. I mean, I believe he would need to have some sort of design,
Yeah.
appropriate design for whatever he wants to do.
Well, there's a catch basin or curb inlet right there, so
He would,
Something
that
was
probably
wrong
could be
with it.
taken care of.
yeah, he would still need gutters to go, so it's the same thing that we talked about
Oh,
last time he was here, was
yeah,
that he would still
okay.
need gutters and have to go underneath the sidewalk and connect into that drain
Okay.
that you see here. So the problem would still be there, but that he would still need to resolve with the drainage thing.
Right.
But before he just came to me and said, hey, you know, before I hire an architect and, you know, really get it going, you know, I wanted to see what the board's appetite was for either a sunroom, or if I just expanded it, would that be more appealing? According to the guidelines and everything, so.
Well, it's not gonna make it any more valuable architecturally.
I mean, it's a non-contributing structure,
It's just gonna look worse.
so as long as it's properly designed,
And that's it, properly designed,
We would-
is the
you know, we
word,
would-
right there.
we would be okay with it, with thinking about it.
What, sunroom thinking about it?
Yeah.
Or- Okay. All right, I'll.
I mean, I know we can't, it's not a motion
No,
tonight,
no, it's
so-
not a motion.
No,
It's
and we
just-
really
yeah.
can't say
Right.
right this minute, that would be fine,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
can certainly say it's a possibility.
Yeah, no, that's
if
all I was
properly
look- yeah,
designed,
that's all I was
We'd
looking
have to
for.
see, is a case where we'd have to see what he's trying to do before we could say anything about it?
Yeah.
Is that the way I'm taking it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We'd at least have to have some kind of preliminary design.
That, yeah,
Design.
Peyton, I understand that, and I would like to
conceptual
have that,
design.
you know, I'd like for him to be known that, you know.
However, I do think that, you know, one thing you could say is that there are no sunrooms in the historic
There you
district
go.
at the
Yes,
time.
ma'am.
So if you were leaning that direction,
He could be just
Yeah.
thinking of providing some sort of enclosed,
His
Area,
interpretations
right,
on some
right.
things are different than our interpretation on things, and I really like the gentleman, but you give him an inch, he'll take a yard, and we just don't know. I don't know what his finished look is gonna look like. I just don't think some of it, the things that he previously done fits that criteria to that building, if that makes sense to you all.
and I think the little bit of the danger is that the Tumbling Creek cider project that is down the street has, you know, a plastic finish on it. Now, that is a temporary thing that was only granted temporarily. So nothing about that is going to stay. That is not a permanent fixture structure there. So I do get that there might be some confusion there. I don't know,
I understand.
but I'm just saying, like, when we say sunroom, yes, that isn't just rolling plastic down along the edges,
Yes.
so.
Yes.
So we can be specific
True.
about that.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Byron Geisler. So I was just going to say this, I believe this comes up under the other issue that we've had frequently come up, which is additions to site. So this would be an addition to the site, and you know, under those National Park Service guidelines, it has to be, it's supposed to be consistent with the structure that's already there. It's supposed to be consistent with the rest of the historic district. So, you know, what you're saying is exactly accurate, that that's going to be a high hurdle for him to meet, to have a sunroom that's going to somehow be consistent with this building and the surrounding historic district.
To be
I mean, I
designed
guess-
properly in
right,
order
I mean,
to
I guess
fit
it
in.
could be done, but
Yes.
that's going to be difficult. That's just going to add to that.
Right, so the thing will hinge on the design.
Right.
And that's the thing, as Mayana said, that there's none in the historic district. And I said that to him too, that that's one hurdle you would be facing. There is none in the historic district, so he just wanted to see what your appetite was, and then he would go either way.
And I do think the design piece is the key, because if you just consider glass panels inside maybe a black metal exterior, that's one thing. I think when I hear sunroom, I think of the old Wendy's with the plants and
Yes.
and all of that. So
Me
that's a
too.
very different connotation than just like a nice, if this was just black and white with glass panels, that's probably, like you said, Betsy, it's a design thing versus, and also what Myron said, so.
He's obviously seeking more space, and we would be trying to help him with that, but it would hinge on the design.
And it wouldn't negate the fact that he would still have to connect the gutters into
Right,
the
correct.
existing stormwater.
Okay.
Okay, I will let him know that you guys are open
Okay.
to it, it just hinges on the design aspect of it. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next item is the OH letter that we sent out this year. So 2.5 years ago, I guess you all decided, based on the fact that we had a number of people come in and they would say, you know, we didn't know, and they would do things prior to coming into us, and you all requested that we start sending out an annual letter. So we sent it out a second time this year, and there were several comments from the community about it being certified. And really, we only did that because we'd done that the first time. So, one, I guess the question is, do you want to continue that as an annual tradition? And two, do we want them certified?
I think we should continue them, but maybe not certified. With
Most
that-
of, most of the comments I received were, you know, it was certified, but yet it wasn't assigned. It wasn't signed, and people thought they had violated something because they got this letter.
This certified letter.
Well, I think that it was, in a way, just me personally, I think the certified was great because you get the people who get it and they say they didn't get it.
Correct.
But if it's certified, you have to sign for it. So I do see why it was sent certified, because there's several people that come in and act like they don't know
Right.
when they really do know. So,
That was the original discussion that we had 2.5 years ago.
and if it's certified, you know everybody got the letter,
How
because they
many
had
were
to
there?
sign for it to get the letter, but.
I can't remember the exact list, but basically it's, you know, we sent it to everyone in the historic district, and Gabe has a couple of examples.
So, yeah, so there's a few people that called, just saying, you know, and the original thing was, you know, did I do anything wrong? I go, no, we're just welcoming you into the OH, giving you the process, and there was actually a few that didn't know they were in the OH.
Yes, I bet.
Yeah.
And that facilitated, you know, a good, you know, how, you know, like Mr. Paris, an example, we facilitated a good relationship where I go out for site visits, I set
Yes.
him up, and when he gets to
Yes.
here, there's
Yeah.
it's all straightforward in a sense.
Yeah.
And so that happened with the same thing where I met with one or two of the people, and we started talking, they're like, oh, wait, I have this project I have to do, what would I have to do for that? And I would either say it's a
Yes.
waiver, or it's, you have to go
Yes.
before the board, more than happy to go out for a site visit, so it helped, as we say, create a bridge of support
Mhm.
with the community, so we can create those bonds to help
Mhm.
people through projects.
Mhm.
And so that happened a lot with people where they initially thought, oh, you know, did something happen? We go, no, just inviting you to the OH as usual, saying thank you for
Uh-huh.
being part of it, making Abington a great place to visit, work, and play. And, you know, we're here to help you through the process.
Yeah.
So-
To me, it was a very nice courtesy. And would you like to say something?
Yes,
about
I
it?
could.
Yes?
Well, last year when we sent the letters out, was that the invitation to the event at it wasn't? Because I think the reason it, and I heard a lot of, well, not a lot, but I heard quite a few complaints about it, and I think the reason is that if you weren't there to sign for it when it came, then you had to go to the post office to get it. So you had to go to the post office during regular hours, which meant people thought they were in trouble.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And they took off time from work or made a special trip to the post office and then got a letter that was just explaining what the historic district does and wasn't signed. And so they were I guess they were worried they'd done something wrong. Then it was a big effort to go get the letter. And then once they got the letter, it was just saying, you're in the historic district, this is how it works. So that was why it was a problem, not because they minded just getting a certified letter. It's that if you weren't there to sign for it when it came, you had to go to the post office and get it.
Yes, sir.
So that was the
See.
problem with
Yes,
Although
sir.
we did it the first year and we didn't get any complaints at all, so it's kind of a strange thing that the second year we got the complaints.
That's why I was thinking maybe it was
Yeah.
tied to that event. If they got a
No.
certified letter inviting them to a party, then they might have been fine with that, but this
No,
was, yeah.
you all wrote the letter together, actually, as a board. Gabe brought it, you all made edits, and we sent it out.
Well,
And
maybe they're
so-
paying more attention than we think, so
Maybe.
they thought, we just got this last year, why are
I
they sending me
know.
a certified letter to say
Yeah.
this again? I
But
don't
again,
know.
just like Dwayne said, you know, it really has, it's just that basis of like, if somebody says, hey, I didn't know and I tore out all my windows, we can say, well, you signed for the letter.
Yeah,
So really, it
exactly.
is just accountability. But again, there is nothing, staff is more than willing to just send out a generalized letter next year and.
I mean, I had to go to the post office, and I was home, I was in my office next door when
Mhm.
the mail came, so. But anyway, isn't there a thing on the form that where you can arrange to have it
Mhm.
delivered at a
Yes.
specific time or something?
Or if you don't get it, it just ends up sitting at the post office, so there's some that came back to us that said vacant and those types of things, so. But yeah, I mean, again, there's no need to cause additional stress
Yeah.
if people don't want it to be certified. That is
Yeah.
completely comfortable with us just sending a letter or a note, a postcard. I mean, it doesn't really matter. This was just started because of
Well,
the request
I
last
think it
year.
was it's nice to send the letter, and maybe it would be, and we, you know, if we continue to have our events and things like that, or just a news, something coming up, and perhaps if they said it wasn't signed, we could have it, the chairman of this committee could sign it along with the mayor of Abingdon, or whoever else should be signing it.
Yeah, we definitely can get the letter, a signature on the
And
letter.
we could get the
Yeah.
signature on the letter.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern was, you know, this board has struggled so hard to get public buy-in and not look like we're overhand,
Yes.
really, you know,
Yeah.
the hysterical
Yes.
review board and that kind of
Yes.
thing. And so that, you know, to not run the risk of, if they're just frustrated by that aspect, to not do that. I mean, we can always say we send out an annual letter, even if it's not
Even if they
certified.
don't,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it'd be a good idea to be pulling our little file out and say, you signed for this letter on such and such a date anyway. I think that
Yeah.
sends a
Yeah.
bad signal.
So I agree, I mean, we could just not do the certified part
And
of
just
it.
send the letter
And make
out.
sure
That's
it's a
what I
very
think.
friendly letter, and then we sign it. It is a friendly letter.
It is a
though.
friendly letter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because you wrote it, so hopefully it's friendly.
I did?
Well, I mean, it's just, we just sent the same
Okay.
one,
Oh, okay.
the same one again.
I read it,
Year
and somebody,
two.
well, I don't live in the historic
Yeah.
district, but the people who complained to me, they made sure that they emailed me what they had, and I read it. I mean, it wasn't really, I didn't take
Any
offense
negative,
to it.
yeah?
If I lived in the historic district, I wouldn't take offense to it. Me, on the other hand, when I read it, and after all the conversation with the couple people that I had, it was just that, you know, they didn't know what was going on. You know, and I felt like I took the initiative and said, you know, it's to keep you in the loop. It's to let
Yeah.
you know what's going on. You know, we have these historic preservation days, and a majority of the people that have problems or complain to me are the ones that don't show up for the historic day preservation. So I just think it was a means to keep everybody in the loop with what's going on in the town of Athens,
Yeah,
the historic
I
district.
think it's a
of
very good idea. I
And
still
as
do.
long as we
Well, we
don't,
will-
as long as somebody don't have to pay for it, or it's not certified,
So they don't have
and
to
they
go
just
down
get
there
it,
and get it.
I think it'll be all
Yeah,
right.
just send it
Yeah.
every year. I mean, I think it's
Just send it
great.
every year. We might even change it a
We'll
little bit
bring
every
it to
year.
you next year and you all
Okay.
can make that decision at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Then I guess to move on to I guess before we move on here, just before I forget, some tidbits here before we move on to the waivers. Thanks to Steve, our co-compliance officer, who's done an excellent job with some cases that, you know, we've seen in the past where
Mhm.
they've maybe gone a little too far and some repairs need to be happened. One that's 301 West Valley,
Mhm.
that we had Mr. Compton come previously. I think it was before Mrs. Bond and Mr. Anderson got on the board. And something's happened, and so the house was in a kind of a waiting stage at the moment. I heard from our compliance officer, Steve, that Julie, Mr. Compton's daughter, is moving forward and will be repainting the house and everything and putting the boards and using hopefully the same contractor that doing one for next door where the garage was falling down.
Yes.
And they've done a wonderful job, and they even have the profile of the clapboards ready for me.
Yes.
That's the same person supposedly that will be doing this one.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're keeping tabs on that one. We're working with them. So I just want to keep you updated with that.
You
Thank
don't-
you to Steve for
Right.
being so
So
gracious
is
with
that
Julie.
the yellow house?
Yes.
On the corner of
Yeah.
Valley and,
Near Russell, yeah, near
Okay.
Russell.
Yeah, that's the one where sort of in the middle of the night, On the weekend, at some point, all of the siding came off, and then there's been a number of health issues with him.
Oh.
I think you remember he came and he had like lost a dog and stuff. It was sort of a
Yes.
very emotional
Yes.
interaction, and so,
Oh, about a door?
yes, about a door, there's a lot of things, but you did all go through a very specific approval, so there is approval for everything. So now it's just gonna go forward, so
Okay.
Yeah.
it's just, there were probably 2 or 3 houses that I think have been our kind of ones that we were hoping to get revitalized, and this is the last one now at this point, so.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, just wanted to let you know about that, and
That's good.
thank you to Steve for doing such a great job anyway,
Yes.
so.
Thank you, Steve.
2 more things before we move on to waivers. We've talked about in the past, a plaque
Yes.
program for buildings and
Yes.
stuff. This is not something I need a decision on at the moment. I'll be sending out an email along with
Mhm.
another email for another subject, but thinking about materials that we think would be appropriate for the plaque. So whether it be wood, metal, or kind of HDU, like high density urethane that we use that kind of looks like wood if it's painted. So this kind of judging by those, and we can kind of come up with that at a later date. But just to put that in your guys' mind to think about that as we kind of move forward with that in other aspects.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
Well, and maybe let's just clarify what we're doing. The Virginia 250
Mhm.
is a grant that we're applying for with the town. And so the program that we're going to apply for this year is to do plaque program and a walking tour with an app. And that's related specifically to the 250th anniversary. And so we're gonna start with the revolutionary types of structures, cemetery, statues, et cetera, and then hopefully add to it after, if we get the grant. So that's where Gabe is gonna need a decision from you all, just so as we write it, we can write in either wood plaques or metal plaques or whatever the decision will be. So that's why we're making that request.
And then one last thing before we move on to the waivers, I'll be sending out an email just inquiring what dates work for all of you to kind of start reviewing our first section of the revised guidelines.
Okay.
We'll be looking over the whole introduction / planning your project. And so there's some new sections in there that we'll be adding based on our conversations that we've had that we've wanted, and other ones that we're just expanding upon.
Mhm. Okay.
So I'll be sending out an email saying what dates, the times and everything work, and then we'll formulate something, we'll get something set
Yes,
just
sir.
to review those.
Okay. Yep.
And then we'll move on to the waivers. 127 West Main Street. If you have any questions for me for those, I can certainly answer them. More just repainting and repairing a wooden column that's not original to the Barter Theater. But obviously you can see from one of the pictures, it has quite a bit of wood rot on the bottom of it. And then just painting the underside of the marquee. So just kind of a refacing and refreshing it, in a sense. The other one is for 208, East Main Street. It's for security cameras. And so I have a photo of that to show you the finished work. Give me one sec. Here's give me one sec. Oop, hold on. There we go. So this was a waiver, and we had multiple site visits, multiple discussions with the applicants. And so originally, we were trying to make sure that's as hidden as possible. It's not visible. So we had the cameras on the side, so they're not interfering with any of the window assemblage, whether it be the lintel right here, which is, I wasn't sure if it was wood or stone, so I said you maybe don't want to start drilling into that in a sense, because you don't know what's there. So the cameras are there. The conduit's pretty much behind the existing gutter, and it's painted white. The window and the gutters are white. Not the gutters, I'm sorry, the downspouts are white. So it kind of blends in there, you won't really see it. And then everything that I verified, the conduit bracing and everything, is into the mortar joints, which is what we need. You don't want it to be drilled into the brick, because then the brick becomes liable to falling and anything.
Yeah.
So everything's braced as it should be. And so that's just the front view. The side view, you can't even really see the lines of the conduit at all. So that's going if you're going east down Main Street. And then this is if you're going up towards
Yeah.
the west side.
Well done.
Yeah.
So we had multiple discussions, and at first it was bringing it out more, and I said, well, no, can you really fit it behind the gutter, make it white, because this way it'll blend in, and really, nobody would really notice it in a sense. And so we went with that, and we try to keep it not towards any of the features that would catch your eye, such as the main door or any of the windows, so they're out to the sides. And it kind of matches what all the other ones in the district kind of have, where they're out to the side, some security cameras, and you can't really tell where the conduit is in a sense, it's kind of tucked in, so.
I think that's a good job.
Very good.
So that's what we had with that one. And then this one for 314 East Main Street, this was kind of another one that, as Vina said, this was one of our few that came under where code compliance, and we worked with them. The front porch was very badly rotten. These are pictures from Google Maps, and this is even a couple years before even it was taken down. So the wood rot you see here, that was nothing really compared to what was there before they took it down. They even had bracing up, 2x4s to hold up the porch. And so talking with the applicant and everything, and before we got their stop work order was issued to them, and me and Caleb, we caught them, and we made sure so they keep all the members and all the design features of it, so to use as templates. And talking with them, they're gonna reconstruct the front porch as it was. So this way they have the previous porch and all of its architectural elements, and they can use that as a template to say, and all of it was wood.
Good catch.
Yeah.
It was in the dumpster.
Yeah. So they had it all there, and we just took pictures of the railing, the balustrade, the columns, the ornate Gothic woodwork in a sense, and so they had all those, and so we'll be watching that one in a sense, just to keep tabs on the project, make sure it goes smoothly. So
Okay.
Thank you for doing that. That's
Thank
near
you,
my
yes.
church, and
It's
that's
pretty,
been.
pretty porch.
yeah. And then we just had 2 stop work orders that we're keeping an eye on: 240 Dale and 269 King Street. Other than that, if you have any questions on any of the waivers, anything else, more than happy to answer.
I'm interested in that webinar on the 29th of February.
The art one, okay, I'll sign you up.
Well, I can get AI learning units, so
Okay.
I need to get my number in there. Should I just go ahead and register myself? So I
If
can
you
put
want
it-
us to pay,
Yeah. If you want us
if you want us to pay the $15 through our funds for your training program.
Okay, well, I'll just send you my,
Yeah.
Yeah, just send me
Membership
your,
number.
your membership number, and you'll get an email with your registration and everything. I just need you to send that to me so we have it on record. So
Okay.
that's it. So, other than that, I can sign you up, and then, Mrs. Bunn and Mr. Anderson, if you end up looking at it and you're interested in it, let me know, and we can get you signed up as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've registered.
Have you registered?
Mhm.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
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 Nice one.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
So do we have a?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll put that in motion
All
to
right,
adjourn.
Mr. Anderson?
I will second.
All right, Ms. Bud.
Okay. Mr. Boyd? Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bond?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank